We can't design most buildings to resist flood forces in coastal areas, so our only alternative then is to avoid those by elevating the buildings above the water surface during the flood.
Chris Jones is a nationally recognized coastal engineer. He has worked extensively in Louisiana.
We don't design buildings typically for individual storms. We look at a 1% annual chance storm, or what's called a 100-year storm. With some of the models that are being used now, like ADCIRC, they are providing more detailed information on flow velocities, which we didn't have before. Safety is a relative term, and it's a matter of probabilities, and it comes down to what risk are you willing to accept. Communities and the federal government have established the 1% annual chance flood as the minimum risk, and you have to design and build to that level. But that doesn't mean that you won't get hit by a more severe storm. So many communities call for freeboard, which is building higher than the minimum requirement shown on the flood maps. Many people choose to do this voluntarily. By doing so, it costs more to build the building, but you will avoid damages in the future and you will see reduced flood insurance premiums.
Look at the map over here and see where you're located and find out what flood zone you're in.
Local officials play an important role in the National Flood Insurance Program. Pam Mattingly manages the NFIP in Calcasieu Parish.
A third of our area is in the floodplain, so we have a lot of development going on in there. A lot of people are wanting to develop in those areas. The new maps will increase the floodplain, so people that didn't have flood insurance before will have to get flood insurance now. There's some areas in the parish that we have higher standards than what FEMA requires, and because we've seen the history of that particular area, it affects the whole parish of what people do, and if they don't comply, then we could lose the whole program. People wouldn't be able to get flood insurance for the whole parish, and that would be devastating for our area since we do have so much area in the floodplain.
Mitch McDonald is the floodplain manager in Terrebonne Parish, which adopted advisory-based flood elevations after Hurricanes Katrina and Rita.
We know that there were homes built compliant to the existing flood insurance rate maps in Terrebonne parishes that had water in them. We know that. I think we all realize that there's going to be some changes when the new maps come out. A lot of those homes down there have been there for decades, started in the 60s and 50s, so there was no elevation requirement at that time. And unfortunately, a lot of slab on grades. And we've been working, toward that here in the recent past to try to help people elevate or demolish their house or relocate their home. We realize as a government here that the need for new maps is there.
The number of certified floodplain managers has increased significantly in Louisiana since the 2005 hurricane season. Linda Douillon runs the Office of Planning and Zoning in Vermilion Parish.
We did not have any floodplain maps until 1985. Until this date, we're still using the 1985 floodplain maps. Our ground has changed, our marshes have changed, our levees have changed. And with our new floodplain maps, if we have another storm, definitely people will be more aware what to expect and more prepared, most definite. Even though all these people had water in their homes, they're coming back. And they're doing the right thing, elevating and doing surge protection and whatever it would take for them to come back to Vermilion Parish.
Jefferson Parish Floodplain Manager Tommy Rodrigue.
I've been involved in mitigating repetitive loss structures for 7 years prior to Katrina. We required the homeowners to elevate 1 foot above the current base flood elevation. And believe it or not, none of those homes flooded during the storm. It tells me that, mitigation works. We experienced Katrina, and we had about 15 feet of water over our house, and it was quite devastating. Yes, there is an emotional element involved here. And I think we all understand why we now have to build smarter and higher than what we did in the past if we want to prevent a reoccurrence of what we experienced during Katrina and Rita.
The new FEMA maps are in a digital format. This allows communities and businesses to use Geographic Information Systems maps, or GIS, to quickly pinpoint the flood risk for precise locations like fire stations, hospitals, schools, and homes.
The technology in itself right there is just, bloomed. So instead of going through 30 different maps, you can just click on real quick. So that's helped us out tremendously.
When you're using old maps, you're having to use a ruler and scale off, and you're having to measure from one point to another to try to predict or assume without a very high level of accuracy of exactly where a structure is. It can make a difference, whether it's 100 feet this way or that way.
People at home that have computers will be able to go on this site and find their location of their home and where they're located at. We're ready for the new floodplain maps, and we're excited.
Hurricanes Rita and Katrina focused everyone in southern Louisiana on the risk of flooding. The process of adopting and using new flood risk maps has not taken place here in many years. Everyone is urged to take time to become informed and learn what impact the new digital flood insurance rate maps will have on you. Simply log on to lamappingproject.com and type in your street address. Talk to your insurance agent, talk to your realtor, and let your local officials know that you support them in making your community smarter, safer, and stronger. This video was produced by the Louisiana Gulf Coast Mapping Project, known as LAMP. The LAMP team includes the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development and the Federal Emergency Management Agency.